Liberals really hate social media because they can't stand the competition. And 3, social media is the main source of truth in a world that's saturated with liberal propaganda. My goal tonight is to convince you that social media is fantastic. Don't believe what everyone says. You should be on TikTok, Snapchat, spend all day on Twitter. Social media is fantastic. It's where we find out what's going on in the world. The 3 main points I will make are, number 1, all the studies about social media being bad for you are bunk. They are not true. Point 1. Point 2, liberals really hate social media because they can't stand the competition. And 3, social media is the main source of truth in a world that's saturated with liberal propaganda. So the studies are wrong, the evidence is shoddy, there are a lot of ways to fiddle with the statistics, and there is a publicity incentive to make it look like social media is destroying children. I would think that for my next point, liberals really, really hate social media, and for good reason. After Charlie Kirk's assassination, the governor of Utah, who had been kind of good until then, he blamed social media. This was after we knew it was a gay guy in a relationship with a transgender, kind of a factory of red flags. The Biden administration was at war with social media. You surely know how they put pressure on Twitter, Facebook, to violate their own rules and take down content that the Biden administration did not approve of. There are endless articles in the New York Times about the dangers of social media. It's really horrible. Kids are depressed. They're committing suicide. It's almost as if the legacy media is worried that the more popular social media is, the less profitable and influential they are. Imagine you're the New York Times and you're worried about competition from a guy filming for TikTok from his Ford Fiesta. No, we've got to stop that. So I don't know, I think we could probably check with, Teen Vogue, Time Magazine, Glamour Magazine, Jet, see if they've had any, none of them exist anymore. No wonder the dinosaur media is carrying on about social media. Oh my gosh, people are getting information that we haven't provided to them. Graydon Carter hasn't approved of this. After Charlie Kirk was assassinated, in addition to the governor of Utah, New York Times ran a big piece by Nathan Taylor Pemberton. He's an expert on hate. That's you guys. I really think you should give up that hating. It's getting out of control. So they have an expert on hate. He said, I'm quoting directly, the only thing that can be said conclusively about Mr. Robinson, the assassin, at this moment is that he was a chronically online white American male. But if we narrow it down to people who are chronically online, that, it turns out, refers to 99% of Americans under the age of 65. 65 and older, it's only 90% who are chronically online. So we've narrowed the profile down of assassins to like mammal. We're looking for a mammal. The left's real complaint with social media is that it's popular. So Pemberton complains that, you're going to like this one, figures like Charlie Kirk, Ben Shapiro, Laura Loomer, and white nationalist Nick Fuentes have thrived in this new landscape. He attacks social media as full of paranoia, conspiratorial thinking, crazy ideas, crazy stuff like plastic straws are going to incinerate the earth. Or your biological sex is determined not by the genetic code implanted on every cell in your body, but whatever you say it is, fringe ideas like that. He wrote this, also accused conservatives of the glorification of political violence. having had a monopoly of the media for decade after decade after decade, liberals have lost their critical thinking skills, and whoa, have they lost their sense of humor. My third point is, as long as they brought it up, who is spreading disinformation? The kind of disinformation believed by, half the population that goes on for months, sometimes years. I mean, crazy ideas bubble up on the internet and they get shot down in an hour. Okay, here are a few. The moment the world came crashing down for the left was about the time you guys were born. 2004, Dan Rather, he used to be a very important newsman on CBS. He was the host of 60 Minutes, and he produced fabricated documents to accuse George Bush of shirking his National Guard duty 2 months before a presidential election. The incipient internet proved that they were fabrications within about 12 hours because the documents used a font that Microsoft didn't introduce for another 2 decades. Still, Dan Rather defended the documents. A former CBS News executive went on the O'Reilly Factor to talk about the case as all of the internet is laughing at Dan Rather. Sure, there are nuts on the internet, but their hoaxes get shot down in about 5 minutes. If the New York Times were in the audience right now, it would be waving its hand saying, what about election denialism? Okay, for one thing, if I would respond to the New York Times if it were sitting in the audience. Google Stacey Abrams and Hillary Clinton. They may forget, but I have a long memory. During the 2008 Democratic presidential debates, Hillary would not stop talking about how George Bush stole the election in 2000 from Al Gore. And this is in front of well-heeled Democratic audiences. I have to say, I was kind of surprised by that because the audiences thought it was great. Yeah, that election was stolen. And in fact, in one of my books, I forget which one, I should have mentioned it. I have a list of presidential elections. Unless the Republican wins in a landslide, Democrats will claim it was stolen. There was Iran-Contra, there was the Supreme Court gave it to Bush. You have to win in a landslide or there was Russia got the election for Trump. Before I conclude, I have one more point on the legacy media. Even the conservative outposts in the legacy media, Fox News, Wall Street Journal, they're not always pushing ideas that are what's best for America. For example, the Wall Street Journal and Fox News are big fans of mass third world immigration. Fox, you probably don't remember, since you were again in kindergarten, absolutely adamantly opposed Donald Trump for president, basically right up until he became the nominee. Rupert Murdoch, or the first Republican debate was on Fox News. Rupert Murdoch ordered Fox News to take Trump out at the first debate, saying enough is enough. Yeah, that didn't work out for them. Even Hannity came out for amnesty in 2012. And if you don't know how disastrous immigration is for the country, I refer you to the recent mayoral election in New York City, where it was the foreign-born who carried our communist Muslim to victory. This week, the internet corrected Jason Riley, who had a moronic piece in the Wall Street Journal that could have been titled, "I know nothing about H-1B visas." So he's describing the H-1B visas as if we're bringing in geniuses. No. And it's just indentured servitude. Immediately, his article was absolutely torn to shreds on Twitter. Just people posting one thing after another, how he doesn't know what he's talking about. Think of how Trump has communicated above the mainstream media. He mostly communicated to us on Twitter. In conclusion, social media is not only not bad for you, liberals hate it. It's a liberal plot to get you off social media. But social media is responsible for all kinds of good things in life. More than 50% of marriages began on the internet. More than 50% of home purchases, internet. No more drunk driving. We have Uber and Lyft. I'd guess fewer bar fights with, now you can just look it up on Google. The creation of America's hottest new career choice, influencer. Also a darling set of holiday-themed placemats I just got on Facebook Market for super cheap. I'll conclude now and take your questions. I think there'll be a lot of questions after all you have heard about social media. Okay, there is a lot of crazy stuff online, but the craziest, most pornographic, most dishonest content online is better than the average copy of the New York Times.